hello. Welcome back to another edition of the Real Estate Podcast. I'm here with Matt Steele. Hi, Matt. Thank you for joining. And today we are going to be talking about the top 10 tips how to prepare your house for showings when selling. Matt, I know it's the favorite topic of yours because you're so good at presenting a house in just the most elegant way. So, I can't wait to dive into this stuff. We've got a really good format here. Came up with a lot of good things. So,
Absolutely. No, I mean, it is one of my favorite topics, man. It's, when getting your home ready, it is so important that you imagine your home in the best light possible. The closer you can get your home to a show home or new construction, the more money you're going to make. And I'm a firm believer in it, man. I've been doing this for so long. And the more we do, the more they make, the faster houses sell. And one of the things I like to say is, look, you have one chance to make a good first impression. So that's the reason we're making this list is, if you're thinking about selling your house, it is really important not only to prepare your house to sell, but also once you have the home ready to sell, what do you do before showings to make sure that your house stands out above the competition? So we've put together the top 10 things that we feel would be beneficial. And at the end of the video, we're going to go over some bonus tips as well that we feel are going to add value. But at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you in this process.
all right. So the main thing is that when you're going to get your home ready is to make it show as though it is a model home. And the more you prepare, just the better results you're going to have. And the goal is just to sell it for faster and for more money. And that first impression is the one that you have. And that's going to be your best impression. It's the very first impression. So let's go over the three types of showings. Okay. We've got number one, the open house.
Mm-hmm.
The open house. So, Matt, you want to talk about the open house and what that is?
Absolutely. So when you're preparing your house for an open house, it's a little bit different than the other two that we're going to cover, like a private showing and an open showing. In an open house, you have very little control of who is in your house. So there are some steps that you need to take to make sure that we capture the people that are going through the home, that we know who they are, so we can do proper follow-up, but also maintain proper safety guidelines. So, but an open house, what you want to do is maximum exposure. To expose your house to the right amount of people, you want to make sure you're doing social media marketing, neighborhood marketing, plugging in all the neighborhood social outlets that you get the media out there. You want to make sure you have anywhere between 2 signs to 30 signs, and that you're doing it in a window of time that is statistically best. What I mean by that is you can search other open houses that are going on in the neighborhood and piggyback on top of those open houses, and even place your signs to make sure that you're getting maximum exposure to drive the traffic there. And in an open house, I mean, we're going to get a lot of looky-loos, right? A lot of tire kickers, and even neighbors. That's okay. Everybody knows somebody, and a lot of neighbors, they want their friends to live close by. So, but open houses are not appropriate for every home. For an example, when we're doing $3 million homes, we are not doing open houses. That's a private show only. But open houses, a mega open house, if you do it right, and we could do a whole nother video on how to do a mega open house, but just anticipate anywhere between 10 people to anywhere up to sometimes 100 people coming through your house. So you have to figure out how you're going to properly manage that. One of the best ways to do that is to have your showing system set up, your registration, when everybody's coming in the door, that you're able to verify their email, their phone number, so that person, they are who they say they are, and you have a way to follow up and also make sure that you're safe. So it's a little bit on open house there. So.
Yeah, that's good. I tip on open houses. For me, I like to keep them really short, and the reason being is that an open house is really a show, and nothing is worse than having an open house where only one person is there. Having multiple people in an open house, that buyer thinks they're the only ones, right? So.
How cheap can I get the house?
Right. Yeah. That doesn't elicit what we want. So having an open house, and having the window, we don't do these. obscenely long open houses. I've seen, some open house, like all day open house or something like that. I like to keep mine about an hour and a half long. So it's a very tight window of when I want everybody to show up at the same time. And that's generally, it's just a little trick of the trade. That's what we do.
No, really smart. It keeps a really good energy, good flow, excitement, and people. When you put that urgency with that many people in there, it really creates a good energy. So that's like I said, we can do a whole video on open houses on how to properly do them. But
right,
I like that. It's a good point, Harley.
Yeah, and just on this, this is just before we get into the top 10 here. These are going to be what we're preparing for, right? So this open house showing, and then the next one, private showing. So what's a private show?
So a private showing is once you list your house on the multiple listing service, it's going to go out to thousands of different websites, and home buyers are going to want to see your home. Typically, they'll reach out to the listing broker, or they'll have their own buyer's broker. We have what's called a showing system where a real estate broker has to go request a time, and then we can set the system to be an open show where it automatically approves it. We can also set the system to where we only allow one broker in at a time. And that's more of a private show where they're in 1 minute, or they're one broker at a time. For an example, if this is a multi-million-dollar house, we absolutely want to have one person at a time going through the home, and we want to have a window of time where they're in there for 30, sometimes even 45 minutes, and then we want to space any other showing 15 minutes to 30 minutes apart, just depending on the marketing strategy that we apply to the home. But yeah, so a private show is what it sounds like. A real estate broker reaches out to us, we know who they are, and then a lot of times we'll even reach out to the broker if we want to pre-qualify the real estate broker and the buyer further before letting them in the house. There are times where we have a list of criteria and questions, all the way down to a pre-qualification letter and proof of funds sometimes before coming in a house. But a private show is pretty straightforward, but we want to prepare for it. It is not something that you just you take lightly. So.
Well, that's right. And we consider the private show one of the highest, most valuable leads in the business, and is what we personally count for numbers as far as ratios go from showing to offer. And because anybody can show up at an open house, right? I mean, it's just and the open show, which is the third one, is more of just overlapping. And I think I don't know about you, Matt, but I mean, typically I don't use that very much, but I think that it's probably appropriate for maybe a mass, when you have a very tight offer review period, or you just need to get everybody in at the same time.
Yeah, we had I'll give you an example. Last month we were selling a house for a client that the home was occupied. They had school schedules, work schedules at home, and there was very short windows of time each day. It was basically 2-hour windows each day. So what we did is said, like, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, these are the times, and just register. We need to know who you are, but it's going to be open. There may be 10, 20 other brokers there, so follow guidelines and good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then also just on that, with and especially with private showings, for folks that don't know, we typically have realtor lock boxes, which just means that they have the key inside there, and these are rolling codes that only licensed agents can access this, and the code changes every single time. Also, when they register, that information goes back to our office, and we know who went in there and what times it was for security reasons.
No, really good point. We even controlled the key box to the point where we can have it not open at certain times, so they don't come too early or too late. And then also we can even control the key box if it is by private show and that appointment has not been confirmed, that box won't open. So we have a tremendous amount of say who goes in the house and who's in the house, so we can properly follow up for sales reasons and safety reasons.
And additionally, on private show, we have showing service, concierge service, where the owner's information is protected and anonymity is there so that your phone number is not out to the masses. It's literally a service where they're making an appointment, then that service will contact the owner and then go back to the agent again. So there's no direct communication, with the general public or other agents, just in case you're wondering. So.
No, absolutely right. When the home is occupied and the appointment has to be confirmed, we can have the request go to the broker and the owner, or either or. So we have we can custom tailor what's best for the listing and for the seller.
Yep. Well, okay. Now, speaking of that, not everybody occupies the home. So we have 4 different occupancy types. Right. So there's owner occupied, tenant occupied, vacant, and vacant staged.
Yes.
So, and I think a lot of those are pretty self-explanatory, perhaps, but maybe Matt, you want to talk about vacant staged?
Sure. I look at it. Absolutely. No, I love it. This really comes down to understanding the seller's goals and also being the real estate broker and the advisor to properly educate people on the different types of showings and how they can benefit the sale and prohibit the sale, right? The goal is to sell your house statistically or faster and for more, right? So how do you do that? Well, if your house is vacant and staged, statistically, your home is going to sell for 5 to sometimes even 20% above what the average homes are selling for. That's, home staging isn't, does it work? Yeah, it's proven. It's no longer, in my opinion, if you have the option to stage, it is one of the easiest ways to increase the value of your home. It goes hand in glove with a cosmetic listing package, doing the basic essentials, but that's a whole different video. So home staging, one of the main reasons that we do home staging is it sets a mood, right? It really, it makes the house, the staging furniture makes the home feel bigger. It makes the home feel warmer. When you're walking through the home, there's no echo. When you're walking through the home, you're not trying to figure out, the buyer's not trying to figure out if their furniture will fit or what's this room for. And it also just adds a layer of elegance and class and emotion. And when there's buyers going through your home, you want them to stay on the emotional side of the mind and not the logical side. Home buying is both, but the more emotional it is, the better the home feels. And the more that you can have the home buyers imagine this home being their new home compared to, your old home or who lives in this home or, just being distracted. You'll be surprised. Home buyers go through cupboards and refrigerators and, they get distracted, right? Yeah. So you really want to create a flow. And, anyway, so that's a little bit about, home staging. I guess if we talk about the other one is if your home's just vacant, you get this question like, well, who's the seller? What happened? And what's wrong? There's almost this underlying question, like, why is it not staged? It just doesn't feel as good. But here's where.
Why did they leave?
I know.
Did they not like it here? Did they die? I've had all kinds of questions like that, and with the staging too, Matt, it's sort of like, it's like you said, like what's this room for? I don't know what I would do with this room or this bedroom that, this would never fit a bed in here. You can't even get a bed in here. What do you mean?
Yep. No, yeah. You see it. So, especially when you do hundreds of open houses and thousands of people come through and you get to, understand, buyer's mindset. And anyways, that's one of the things I wanted to say about home staging again, Harley, compared to a vacant stage is 95% of our buyers are going to come online. They're gonna find the home online. So right. The amount of art and display that we're able to create through home staging, the photos really make you want to not just flip through 20 photos within a matter of 30 seconds. Like when it's staged right and it's designed and you have the photography package and the colors and everything's done right, you can look at a photo for a good solid 5-10 seconds. That's what you want is, once they're done looking at the photos, they turn around and look at them again. That's even down to the point of putting the photos in a flow. But anyways, I got to stay on track. I'm trying to keep this video under an hour, and I'm sure we can do 10 different videos on, how to properly prepare your house. But
well, the thing, there's a couple of points here too, is that, we had 3 types of showings. There's actually a 4th now too, is the virtual showing.
Good point.
With 3D tours and That's actually been really, really great, especially with just the 3D technology and the fly through and the ability to take people through in a virtual sense. We get not only just, a lot of this came from COVID, but also from international buyers or just buyers that just can't be in the area. uh, we can actually take people through with technology, just like being in a Zoom session. We can have your actual home and walk them through and do a showing and talk to them directly with features and benefits with their agent, and about the house. It's really, really neat technology. So that is another type of showing that we're doing more and more of too.
And Harley, I've sold several houses where the buyer actually was never present, other than
Interesting, right?
video tours,
Mhm.
and also the virtual tours that you're speaking of. So, with the
Right.
amount of people that are relocating to this country and then to different states, and with the restrictions out there today, between anyways, we won't get into that. It is really powerful to be able to have a virtual showing. Good.
Well, and then also, to that effect, how much more impactful is the staging in having, the preparation there. And it's not just a matter of, oh, let's just put some staging in here because I've been on showings before, and buyers know when there's horrible staging. They know when it's just contrived and it's not, and it's not really done right. And it makes for a poor showing, and they start to focus on that versus, having an elegant stage and done right and done in the consistency of the house, and that the staging is complete, where the buyers come through and they're actually really impressed, and a lot of times to the point to where they want to buy the staging furniture with the house. Not that that's the point, but that's
Yeah,
how much they love it. That's how much they love the entire feel. When you think about it, if you've ever been to a luxury hotel or something, and you've gone in there and you're like, wow, I just love everything about how they did this. I'll just take it just like that, right? Like that's
absolutely.
that's the feel, just like a magazine. So
No, with our home staging business, yeah, we get that a lot. We know we've done our job right when the buyers are reaching out and they actually want to purchase the home with all the furniture in there. But good point on the home staging, Harley. There's three types of home staging. You have basic, standard, and luxury. So
mhm.
there's different levels of home staging, and there's different pricings. I mean, you can spend $1 a square foot of a home and do a partial stage. You can spend $2 and do a nice stage, or you can spend up to $3 and really add that wow factor to the home. So yes, it's really important that it's designed right, and it's not just some furniture that's from a rental company or that a real estate broker has laying around. You really want to make sure that there's intention put into that to create an emotion, and to also enhance the areas that need it. So it's really important. And remember, home staging doesn't cost money. Statistically, it doesn't even cost 0.5% of the cost of the sale to stage your home, and it can bring you 5 to 10 to 20% value increase. It's like having a really good real estate broker. A really good real estate broker costs you absolutely nothing. They will make you money. Home staging, same thing. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, there's a few tools we're going to get into here. So, the 5 successful tools for showing, and number one is the showing system, and that we did talk on about this a little bit, but is that showing system is typically when an agent can register for a show. Now we do it online, and the owners will get a text message, call, or email about it, and they can accept or decline or reschedule the showing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's really important that that there's a plan put intent put into the house, like how our showing's going to be handled, so that way you can stage the emotion, and keep really good emotions, follow up, and safety for everybody as well. The other one is having the registration system. We did briefly talk about that in an open house. Anybody that comes to the house we need to know who they are. And it's really important that your house, when you're selling it, has its own website, right? And that website, you're able to show photos and videos and the Matterport, the virtual tours, right? So when a buyer comes through the home, you're giving them, by them signing in and you're getting their email and their text message, you're also giving them a value add by giving them the digital home flyer where they can see all the collateral. And then as they look at those photos and videos and clicking on that, now they're, registering into your system to where there's Google retargeting. So that home, you can then say, we're going to have these photos in the listings and different marketing things that we want to, put in front of the buyers that come to the home. We can now follow them and target them to make sure that we're getting maximum exposure. Every website they go to, now they're seeing your home. So that's how you, really with a showing system and the registration systems, they all kind of, go together. And then the other tool that I want to talk about was the home staging, which I think we did a real good job covering the benefits of home staging. And another tool when you're selling your house is having a home warranty. Harley, you want to talk a little bit about kind of the benefit of a home warranty?
Yeah. And, I know there's differing opinions on home warranties out there. And number one, a home warranty is just that. It's a warranty. It's insurance. And I like to say, just think about it as the extended coverage, like on your car. So, or, and it's extended coverage for your home. We all have to have fire, insurance unless you own your home outright. But typically, most people have some sort of fire coverage for disaster. Home warranty just goes above and beyond that, and will cover different systems. And depending on the package that you get, it will cover things that wouldn't be covered in your homeowner's policy. And there's usually a little to no deductible. Also, a big thing about the home warranty is that it covers the seller during the time of the sale.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big deal when you think about it, because it's really a bummer when you go to sell your house and, maybe your refrigerator breaks or something.
Murphy's Law sometimes, right?
I mean, Murphy's Law. I had I remember, so there's a couple of things about home warranties that really got me to be a big believer. One is that I started to use them on my rental properties, right? And so I had a rental that I put one on, and let's see here, the dishwasher broke, the furnace broke, and I think I had 2 hot water tanks. It was split up as a duplex.
Yeah.
And I had 2 hot water tanks go out, not simultaneously, but different times. And the warranties, it just kept covering all that stuff all the time. And that's a whole topic for another video too, like how to properly use home warranty and, in your rental portfolio and that, but you can use it as a homeowner, not only just for your own good, but if you're going to go sell your house, it's a really good thing to get. The second thing that happened to me was when I sold a buyer a home one time, and this was in Kirkland, and she was, I remember she was a very passionate lady, and she was not the easiest one to get into a home, but we did find her a really good one. And so when she called me like after the sale about a month later and said, "Harley, my refrigerator and my dishwasher both broke at the same time." And I'm like, and I'm just, my heart's thinking, I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, and she's like, thank you for getting me that home warranty. Like, oh, well, great. I'm glad that worked out for you. So, yeah. So it did, it covered them both, and it was just, and it happened to be because it's a bummer on the buy side too, because you're using all your money, to buy a house generally, and you don't have a lot of extra cash laying around for something to break. And, in her case, it was 2 things at once. So yeah, having that home warranty is a good thing. And it doesn't cost you anything as a seller up front, nor during the time. So you get it. In fact, you get coverage and don't even pay a penny for it. So it's really kind of a good thing.
Yeah, and well said, Harley. And it also just it adds a level of security and confidence to a buyer that this is a good home that you're really carrying and you're putting it out there. And that's what the goal when you're selling your home is to one, make it as attractive as possible to as many people as possible. And that leads us into the next one, pre-home inspections, right? This is one of those
Yes.
tools that can make you money and save you money. Typically, in a home buying process, the home buyer does their inspection once the home is pending, and then they find out any defects with the property, and they go back to the seller and they try to renegotiate. You fix this, I want this done. Ask for a $10,000 price negotiation. If you don't do it, I'm going to back out. It could be it can be a can of worms if it's not properly taken care of. And this is why one of the tools that we're going to recommend when we're preparing your home to show and get on the market is to have a pre-home inspection. Look at it as a buyer disclosure form. When you look at it as the report card to your home. We have a home inspector come out. Some charge $300, some charge $600, depending on the area, depending on the house and what you have them do. But they're going to provide you with a report that can be 50 to 100 pages. And this report is like your report card. You get to view it and see what a buyer would be seeing, right? And how does it feel? And then decide what you want to fix and don't fix. But what you're doing is you're looking at your report card and saying, okay, I got a B. I want to take this up to an A, right? And you can then fix those things. And when you provide the inspection report to the buyer, they can see, yeah, these are the things that are on there, and these are the things that we fixed. Or you just provide the list and you say, buyer beware, this is what you get. There's several different ways to negotiate and handle the home inspection on how you use it as a leverage and an asset in a listing. But one thing it does for sure is it gives a layer of disclosures and it takes away a leverage point that a buyer statistically would normally have to go in there and try to renegotiate. So it just makes your contracts a lot tighter because a buyer still has the right to do their own inspection, and we encourage that. But really, once you provide them a home inspection, if they want to do their own inspection, we'll then even require them statistically to do their pre-inspection before we even accept their offer. Like, we're not going to tie up a contract and then have the buyer in a position where they can back out. And anyways, without getting into the whole how a contract can go backwards, what I'm saying is absolutely look into what the value and the benefits of a pre-inspection, because this one can definitely save you money and make you money. So, and save you a ton of time. Yeah.
And yeah, well said. And this is also why the advice, I think, needs to come from your real estate professional as well on that, because it's not just one type of inspection. It's not a oh, okay, just go get an inspection done. No. Yeah. I mean, depending on your house, where it is, how old it is, etc. We might say, hey, you should really get a sewer scope done. I would, because here's the thing, is that in a super hot market, let's say, and boy, that's just God's blessing, right? You just have so many buyers that want your house. But the thing is, they also want a wave inspection, but you don't want to have like 10 buyers doing a sewer scope on it. It's gonna damage something, right? So do it one time, and have it done. Do your septic inspection maybe one time. There's going to be certain situations. The point is, there's certain situations that are going to call for different types of inspections, depending on what it is. If the roof is a little bit aged, well, maybe you want to have a roof warranty done on it. That's a different type of inspection as well. So all these are definitely coming from your real estate professional on the presentation of the home, to put it in the best possible transparency for that buyer, in order for them to not only elicit the highest and best offers, but to get to the finish line quicker.
Well said, Harley. So Well, I think we've been putting a ton of information and value out there. We're 30 minutes into it, and we're just getting into the number one. But these number 10, the 1 through 10, our tips they're going to go through really quick, but they're extremely important. Like the first one, the first thing we're going to talk about is house cleaning. But
Yes.
yeah, so this is one of those things where the difference of house cleaning, your home can be vacant or your home can be occupied, right? If your home is vacant, then we're having the home deep cleaned. And when I mean deep cleaned, it's not just him coming in for 3 hours. There's two people in there for sometimes 6 to 12 hours cleaning the window tracks, the heater vents, the actual glass, the mirrors, the lights, the stove, you name it, like the door handles. The house needs to be shining like you were detailing a car. So it's not your average clean. When the house is listed, you definitely need to have the house cleaned, throughout the process, especially if you're living there. If you're living in the home, you want to have your checklist, right? That checklist says every time you leave that house, you vacuum, you sweep the floors, you make the beds, you put down the toilet seats, you make sure there's no dishes in the sink, you make sure that there's no laundry, all the kids' toys are put away, the pets, you make sure that there are no toys, no dishes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You have to have that checklist. But if you're not living there, that's all going to be handled, and it really is kind of an upfront thing. And then done right, your house is going to sell, really quick, and you shouldn't have to clean it multiple times. However, we won't get into landscaping. We'll just stick to house cleaning. So,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is really just bare bone basic. You can always make the house as clean as presentable as possible. And if you think that buyers don't appreciate that or don't look at that or like, oh, they're never going to look in this drawer, they're never going to, well, they do.
they do.
And they judge that. And I've seen them do that. They open up the refrigerator and you have grime around the seal. Hey, what do they do? It's just it's psychological, right? And it's not hard to do. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. Deep clean the house.
No, it's like Harley. Most of our audience here, they've sold multiple cars, and just put yourself visualize that experience, right? If you're going to purchase a car and it has a home warranty on there, right? If it has an inspection done on it and it's detailed, right? The feeling, right? The statistical odds of that car being good, right? You have a lot more information. So your odds of paying more for that car because of just those three things. But I won't go too deep. I'm sorry. The other, so this goes right in. Number 2 is removing personal items and packing unnecessary items. You want to, if you're living in the home, you want to have bare essentials. Literally, buyers will walk through the home and you want them to wonder if the home is vacant, right? That's when you've done it right. If you can, like I said, the closer you can get to that show condition home or that new construction, the faster it's going to sell and the more it's going to sell. But removing personal items, this is making sure the countertops are, clear. There's no clutter. You're opening closets, getting things out of the closets. You go in the garage. You don't take all your stuff in the house and pack it in the garage. I mean, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But just if you were to take that and put it in a storage or donate it or sell it, you're going to potentially make more money. Just when someone can walk through the home and visualize it being theirs and not yours, your odds go up.
Yeah, and that's just a really good point. Some sellers feel like, oh, well, I'd prefer to see a home that's lived in and have that homey kind of feel. Well, that's not necessarily true for the buyer. They want to. Buyers are super territorial, right? So they go they go into the house. They don't want to see anything of your stuff. They want to imagine, and it's an experience for them to put themselves in your home, and it's very difficult for them to do that when they see other people's items in there. So the decluttering and depersonalization of the home is really vital and critical, and actually a pretty simple thing to do, and it does go hand in hand with the cleaning.
Yeah. And then that leads us to the smell of a house. It is so important.
It's a new car smell, Matt.
That's right. It's kind of like if you're going on a date, you want to smell good. If you stink, what are your odds, right?
Right.
So, but every home has an odor to it. And some sellers or occupants, they don't know, right? So taking professional advice, making sure that there's no cooking odors, no pet odors, no smoking odor, there's no mold odor, that musty smell. Another thing is that there's not a fragrance that's overpowering, like potpourri or an air freshener. It's just really important that you don't overdo it, and that the house, yeah. Harley, what do you have to say about smell? So.
Well, also that's also why we recommend just removing pets entirely, if at all possible, because even if you're removing the pets during the time of the showing, it's a you can still, it lingers. You still smell it, and it just doesn't. Is it horrible for the sale? Well, it doesn't help the sale.
I'm going to say yes.
It just doesn't help the sale.
I mean, we both had buyers. They just they will walk away. They will not buy a house that's been smoked in. Sometimes if there's a pet there, absolutely not. And then so
it's not good.
It is.
And that's also why, a lot of times we'll recommend, like during our offer review period, we'll have a period of days, I'll have 5-day review periods from the time that it's show ready and that it's first fresh on the market. Remember that first impression we talked about, to the time that we do offer review. Just take a staycation, take the 100%. Kids, take the pets, go somewhere else. Don't eat, because we're going to have, the odds are is that we're going to have the peak amount of showings during that time. And logistically, you're not going to want to be in the house anyway. So just go somewhere nice, just take a little staycation, and have the house sold by the time you get back. So
well said. And one last thing on the smell, Harley, it's a top question. One of the top questions that I ask in a buyer in a seller consultation, when we have those sellers that reach out to us where their house is on the market for 30, 60, 90 days, it didn't sell, and they're calling us, and we're trying to figure out how we can, why the house didn't sell, and how we can put a plan together to sell their house for that amount and more. I can't tell you how many times I've asked the question, how's the smell? And they tell me no smell, no pets, no, right? And we do the analysis of the house, and it's like, the smell. So
some people don't even think about it, like because they're like rushing to take a shower before the showing, and they leave, and I'll come in on the showing, right? And I mean, you smell all the shower smell in the it just doesn't, it doesn't show right. And so and it may sound small, but you start adding up a bunch of these things, all together. Just, why dampen the idea and the whole aura of the showing? We have one shot at this, typically. Absolutely. With these buyers. So.
Absolutely. And that leads us into the placards, like where number 4. You want to create an experience for the buyer when they're walking through the home that you can pre-anticipate the questions that they may have, and you're always trying to add value to them. The placards, things like leave the lights on. You don't want buyers or a real estate broker running around the house trying to find light switches, and then they don't find a switch that's behind a curtain and it stays dark in there, right? You want them to, either be comfortable removing their shoes and have the booties ready for them, for example, but you have that placard there, and you create the experience of, guiding them through the house, and, make sure you, in the garage, you see the storage racks, or in the pantry, right? There's all the different things you can point out to keep that flow, and make sure that the buyer really understands some of the hidden attributes, because when you're going through a home in 5 minutes or sometimes 30 minutes, you don't see it all. So it's creating that experience where you try to do your best to point out some of the things that are kind of the icing on the cake with the placards.
That's right. And then number 5, just along with that, so they come in, lights are on, they need to either remove the shoes or put on foot booties, or both. And that's right now in today's world, it's very common courtesy too. And it, protects the floors, etc. So just good practice, right?
Absolutely. Number 7 is having the lights on, we talked about that briefly, but it's more than just having the lights on. You want to have the right lighting in your house. Is it warm? Is it bright? Is it daylight? So you want to set a mood, and then you want that to be consistent. You don't want to walk into rooms where one's dark and one's bright, and one has warm light, and then some have burnt out light bulbs. So making sure that the flow of the lighting in the house is really consistent, and that you have the proper luminance. Like, you don't want to have a dark room unless it's a movie theater room, for example. So
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the light, when you think about it, all we see with our eyes is light, right? So make it consistent and make it the best light possible. These fluorescent lights, a lot of people still have them. The screw-in ones. They're nice, but they're not consistent with showing the best light possible. And again, that's why you got to work with the professional to let you know, hey, what are the best bulbs to use? And it's so easy to do to switch out some of these bulbs, and especially burnt out ones too. I mean, that's
yeah. Well, Harley, those fluorescent ones, sometimes they can take a minute or two to warm up, and by the time the maximum light of that bulb's, they're gone, right? So you want to have that instant LED or light that turns on, and that's why you even want it on, so that you have the maximum light already there. So.
And we didn't put this in this particular one, but it goes hand in hand with it, is to make sure that your smoke detectors are not beeping.
That's a good one.
With the lights. As you're changing out the light bulbs, be sure the batteries are good, because I could tell you that it's a poor show when you walk into a house, got burnt out bulbs, flickering bulbs, and beeping smoke detectors, and off smells. This is not a good show, right? So, some simple things we can do.
I like it. Number 7 is the blinds and window shades, right? The goal is to bring in as much light as possible. However, there are times where the blinds and the shades are positioned to maximize the showing of the house. For example, there's times where you can have mini blinds that go from the bottom up, and you want to have them halfway up. That way it's giving privacy, or it's blocking off a line of sight that you don't want to see, but you're still letting light in. So there's ways to, without getting too deep into it, make sure the goal is to have the right amount of light, but then you don't want the room to feel dark. So.
And of course, they'll be clean.
And clean. And number 8, music on. Now, this is something that I am a believer in. So sound, music, emotion. We're selling a house. We want to capture the essence of the dream of what it is they're looking for. And you want to, harmonize it as much as possible. So music can do a lot of things. It can help a buyer kind of tune in and slow down, but it can also make the sound of the house and the feel of the house better. We're not trying to hide that the house is creaking or the road is, noisy, or, there's airplanes and things like that. I mean, because all that stuff is there. There's always decibels, in a situation as we're downtown and it's louder, but, we're trying to pull them out of that and put them into like this. When someone's buying a home, there's a dream, there's a vision, and that's what you want them to tap into is the reason why they're there.
Yep. Number 9, lock up or remove, better yet, valuables and medication.
Absolutely.
And as a real estate agent, real estate brokers, check your paperwork. They're not responsible for items that are stolen, and nor really can one be responsible for that. Now, most of these showings are proctored, if you will. However, it's really simple for somebody to take something, and we would never want that to happen. So yes, we're going to be in the home, just lock them up or just take them with you.
Well said. And number 10, vacate the home. This is not having a vacant home. This is vacate
Right.
the home, Harley. Right? You want to cover this one? Why it's so important for the home seller or occupants to leave?
You know what? And it's a really good topic, because and especially if you're a first time seller, you may not realize this, that the buyers really need to have their space and their privacy. and to even see you and or even run into you on exiting or leaving isn't even ideal either. Being gone entirely and letting them have full width and breadth to show it and see your home at their leisure is really important. It is a big decision, and it's an emotional one. And you may not think that having you around with that or is a big deal, but it is. It does intrude upon their experience of showing the home.
And well said. I'll do a mic drop on that one. However, that was number 10, but we have bonus tips. So if you've made it this
Aha.
far, congratulations. Thank you. So glad that you're watching. We're hoping that we're adding value. And if you're one of our clients, you'll be watching this video as well. We're doing the best we can to prepare. Harley and I are both seasoned real estate brokers. I've personally been doing this for 20 years. And Harley and I are both trying to always figure out what we can do to add value and help people through this process. And that's one of the reasons that we do these videos, is to add clarity and put as much information that we can, and you guys can digest it in your own time. As you know, when you're working with us, we're always open. We're here for your questions, and we have our team and our support and our systems. And hopefully this video is just the icing on the cake for you. If you're thinking of selling your house, congratulations, and wish you luck and success. It's a huge decision, and it's very important because selling a house is one of the biggest, largest assets that most people will sell, and it can be the difference of sometimes tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. By applying these 10 things can make you and save you a ton of money. But I want to cover the bonus tips if you're still here. I'll say this before I cover the bonus tips. You can reach out to Harley and I. We're both real estate brokers. I cover the Seattle, Washington area. Harley, you want to give a little plug?
Yeah, and technically, Matt's called the broker. I'm a real estate agent in the DC metro area, Fairfax specifically. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and we do residential, some commercial as well, but basically residential, resale, and new construction properties.
Fantastic. Well, with that said, let's talk about the bonus tips. When you're selling your house, you want to have a list of upgrades. When they walk through the home with that beautiful home flyer, which we'll talk about, you want to have a list of upgrades. Like, is there a new roof? The type of flooring? Does it have AC? Window coverings? The list of repairs that you've done to the house and modifications, a list of the service schedule, who cleans the gutters, how often is it done, who cleans the windows, landscaping. So when they're buying that house, if you can provide them with the package where all the home maintenance is already scheduled out and they know the cost of it, that's icing on the cake if you can do that for the potential home buyers.
That's a really great one. That goes hand in hand with the pre-inspection as well. Some sellers get a little anxious about, like, oh, well, what if I have all these things that aren't really remedied on this home inspection? Well, that's fine. They'll have that, and then they'll have the list of things that were repaired as well. So this is what it inspected as. These are the things that that we have done to the home. These are the list of upgrades. Along with this is a good idea to put in the year of the major appliances and the service schedules, along with it. A lot of times people have questions about that. Like, in my area, Matt, and maybe not so much in yours, but we have AC units, and or your hot water tank, or your HVAC system in general, your roof age, any kind of warranties along with those, are big questions for buyers. And sometimes they want to know the type and age of your stove, et cetera, with that. So.
Well said. Now let's talk a little bit about another bonus tip is marketing literature in clear view. When someone walks through the home, we have there's different strategies. Earlier, we talked about the digital flyer when they come through the home, getting them to register. But if you're not present and you don't have that registration system set up for the digital part, there's actually ways that you can set QR codes up through the house where they can scan it and see additional information on the home that you can provide value. But having a home flyer, really, that, clearly basically list out what the amenities are, the benefits. But in that home flyer, you have a link, a QR code, or a link that they can go and watch a video of the home, right? And that video is going to have music, and it's going to have drone, and really create an additional motion to the home. So when they're leaving, let's say they're looking at 5 homes or 10 homes, and if they're grabbing those home flyers at the end of the day, what if they're flipping through and they see yours, and it's just done in a way with beautiful photos, just that really nice paper, the good gloss, and just a really modern layout. But then the QR code, for example, if they scan that, now we can start doing some additional digital marketing to expose them, on other aspects of the house. For example, neighborhood amenities and tours. A lot of times when we list a home, it's not just about the home, it's about the lifestyle of the home. So we'll go and do, on average, a 5-minute to an 8-minute video of the neighborhood, what it's like to live in this city. Here's the commute times. Here's the restaurants, right? Here's what the school ratings are, right? Just to have that video that when they watch that, it really gives them an idea of what it's like to experience that house. Because it's not just the home, it's the neighborhood, it's the amenities, it's everything. And you can get that literature in front of them with a home flyer, because sometimes they're only in that home for 5 minutes, and a good showing should take a solid 30 minutes and sometimes even 45 minutes. But if someone's in a hurry, if they have that home flyer, it just gives us that one more opportunity to get our marketing material in front of them, but also our phone number, our contact information, they can reach out to us, and we have the systems out there to make sure that we answer all their questions and figure out if this is going to be the right house for them or not. So marketing, literature, and clear view, and just have it represent luxury. So
that's right. And that's a great presentation, the 360-degree presentation of the home and all the questions that could possibly be asked by a potential buyer, and sometimes to correct misinformation too. I've seen that as well, where, sometimes, there'll be misinformation about maybe a school or something that needs to be like, hey, emphasize that, maybe it's not as far away as they thought, or, this particular community has this amenity that, maybe they didn't quite know about. So that, that kind of information is critical as well.
Well said. And Harley, another thing, that value add for the viewers, if they want access to the list of things that they need to do before leaving their house, if it's occupied, everything from putting down the toilet seat to you name it, there's a link. We'll put a link down in the description that they can have access to that. So whether you're our clients or you're in a different state, we're hoping to add value. And congratulations for watching this video. You're putting yourself first, and odds are, if you're this far into this, you're going to do really well. So,
well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate your time, and good luck to everybody out there selling their house.
I appreciate you, Harley. We'll talk soon.